Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. So on the road again, guys, and beautiful, beautiful area. We just got done staying with a friend of a friend who is now a friend, and his wonderful wife. And it was really, really interesting because this friend is a published author. This friend has been on the Art Bell Show on Coast to Coast Radio, also with George Norrie. And this person also has actually met President Trump more than once, spent time with the president, as well as people like Oliver North and countless others in the political realm, as well as being a very high-level Mason. So very interesting, very, very interesting getting to see what is shared information-wise at those levels and what's going on. And so they were gracious hosts and wonderful people, and we really enjoyed our time with them. And it was very, very interesting, delving deep into all the symbolism and the mythology. Is, this is his area of expertise, and this is what he has written on, is kind of giving away a little bit of the secrets of the secret societies, where everything is really all about pointing to the time that we are now in, and that we have been in the past again, because really it boils down to the fact that we go through these cyclical cataclysms every 5,800 years. And I'll hand it off to Cindy for some input here.
Well, he just made it really clear with all of this information that he's gathered over the years that right around certain dates and certain times with the same pictures, he can show that there is like this spiral of light that comes in, and it's almost like the light of source. And it comes in and it changes humans, changes us completely. And that time is really, really close. And that kind of correlates with what I was picking up from the galactics about this light wave that is going to come through. And, for a lot of us, it's going to knock us on our butts, like physically knock us on our butts. We're not going to be ready for it physically, emotionally. Many people will survive, but it's going to be difficult. So that was really curious to learn that from him.
And so, when we look at the Younger Dryas period, that's basically two of those cycles ago. The Bible, there's people that take the Bible literally and believe that the world was created 6,000 years ago. Well, 5,800 years is pretty close to that, and you could say it was sort of recreated, or at least civilization was recreated from the survivors of the last cataclysm. And so when you look at all this, it's interesting. It's encoded in all the traditions around the world. You could find it in ancient Tibetan traditions, in Egyptian traditions, and so many different traditions. It's all encoded in there. So, he was delving into it and saying, it's so wrong to take, for instance, the Bible literally, because you're supposed to be looking at it deeper than that for clues, because it's all about consciousness, it's all about creation, it's all about the illumination of the pineal gland, because when this wave hits, it's going to turn our pineal glands totally on, and many of us, we're already turned on, and we're going to even go to higher levels. However, it will also trigger the pole shift. And it was interesting because the date-wise that he was getting for the pole shift was what we got from the galactics as well. And again, this is not set in stone, and timelines can change, but basically more around that 2034 timeline. Although he is expecting everything to go up to a much higher degree around 2022 and even December of 2021. He was expecting major Earth changes. Now, before that, we're going to have geopolitical changes, which are well underway. And so he shared that part of what's going on is that the elite, they are really trying to keep us in the dark, because what would happen if people knew this was coming? Well, for one, everybody would be panicking in so many ways, grabbing resources. They want to keep us as in the dark as possible, so they'll be able to control the resources for themselves. They're also orchestrating these wars and these conflicts so that we'll reduce the population ourselves. And that way, again, they will be the ones that go into the earth, or perhaps up in the ships, and weather the storm. Because those living on the surface of the earth, it's going to be a small percentage again that make it, just like the last time, and the time before that, and the time before that, and the time before that. So these people that know all the secrets, they know the timelines, they know the season, for a biblical quote there, you should recognize the season that we are in, and we are in that season. So it's really interesting that he was taking it from certain aspects that we were getting our information from different aspects, but for the most part, it was in agreement with each other. So this energy wave, this blast that comes, his vision is a little bit more like Diehold's vision, or Diehold Foundation talks about a solar sneeze, as Corey Good has talked about as well, and that there would be a massive wave of energy coming in that literally will start fires everywhere and all sorts of chaos, trigger huge earthquakes, volcanic activity, etc., etc., and then ultimately the poles shift, at which time you need to be at a very high altitude, or as high as you can. Some places will be going down, and some under the sea, and others will be lifted up as well. So knowing the safe zones is a very, very key thing. And he's at 8,000 feet, and surrounded by mountains that are much higher. So he's situated well where he is. And it was just a great conversation, interesting conversation. He has a lot of friends that I've read their books, and so that was wonderful to talk to somebody that's like, oh, this person? Oh yeah, we did a lot of research together, and this one and that one. So that was really a treat.
It is a lot of fun to sit with like-minded people who have done the same kind of studies, and just enjoy their company and feel good about where you are spiritually. But I think that's the bigger picture here, and that's the bigger lesson, is we need to gauge where we are spiritually, and bring that up. I'm sure there's always room for improvement, and now is a really good time to recognize that there's always a time to improve yourself, your life, what you're doing, how things are going. It's time.
So if you look at his timeline, 2034, and with Diehold Foundation says 2044, we got from the galactics in between that range, between 2034 and 2044. As far as the actual pole shift, the thing that we have to really contend with right now is obviously what's going on geopolitically, because this is all about making us more manageable. That's what it's about. Making us more manageable and under their control, and stopping again the ascension process, because the energies coming in are just going to keep increasing until the big wave comes. And again, this goes also along with so many other prophecies, including Peter Dunev, who we've talked about as well, talking about this cosmic super wave that's going to come and hit us, and everybody being changed, some maybe not making it. Again, it's imperative that we raise our vibrations and shift to a higher level of consciousness if we are to move on in the best fashion in these times. Because ultimately, even when the body dies, we still go on. Consciousness is something that can't be really created or destroyed, just like energy. And that's what our true nature is. Now, these are our vehicles that we are in right now. And we are here, so many of us, to make this time a time of transition, to prepare people. Because we also want to save people from the karmic loop of just constant, rebirth into the same frequency range. And that's also something that they want to lock people into, the lower astral realms, where these dark energies can feed off of human emotions.
And that's really, really big for them. That's really important that they do lower our vibrations, because it does matter when you're going to pass on your vibration at the time of passing matters, because it can catapult you up or down. It's really up to us, where we want to be, but they've done this over and over and over, so they kind of know how to control the population, and by shutting everything down and making it difficult to go out and even enjoy, time at a lake or just family time out camping, these things lower our vibrations. And that's one thing about spirituality, is you learn to find ways around these roadblocks and move forward and onward and upward anyway.
Yeah, so he was going in depth about all of our spiritual traditions and how it's completely incorrect to take things literally, because what these things are is it's encoded secrets for those that understand how to uncode them and decode them and understand the time periods that were in there, like all the numerology that we've talked about before. Why 40 days in the desert? Why 12 tribes of Israel? Why 12 apostles? Why, it goes on and on and on. There's all references. The 144,000 is all about DNA. And it's about ascension again. It's not just 144,000 literally chosen by God. And, he even got into that too, just talking about how Creator itself, the true source, is the same thing. It is within all of us, and doesn't just speak through one tribe and one book. That's taking things on a very literal sense, which is out there just basically to keep the hidden secrets away from the masses and allow those that have the inner knowledge to decode what is really being said there. So again, it's all about ascension. It's all about the pineal gland. It's all about Kundalini and activating our Merkabas and becoming a true, fully enabled, multidimensional being. It's all right in there. Like when we look at the symbol of Freemasonry, the tools of Freemasonry, and the reference again to the divine architect. Well, we're our own architects developing our own Merkabas, our own light bodies, which we will use to ascend outside of this just constant 3D, 4D matrix and become true multidimensional beings that are capable of doing amazing things. And again, as Christ has said, you will do greater things than I did. Well, how is that possible unless we have the light of source within us as well? And we do, and that's the secret that they don't want people to know. And again, this is the apocalypse, so everything is being unveiled, and we're trying to do our best to share what we are getting from our sources, both inner sources and also exterior sources like these other people that have done so many decades and decades of research and come to the same conclusions.
And, for as long as we can and as long as they'll allow us, we will continue to bring this information to you guys and wake up as many as possible, because a lot of things just don't make sense if you step back into the Bible and you look at it. Really, they're trying to pass things off in a way that keep us locked down, that keep us in check and keep us controlled, and that's the name of their game. And I think once we realize that that's the name of their game, then we know how to proceed for ourselves, so we can be free, sovereign beings.
So what they're trying to do right now is bring humanity down to a much more manageable level, just enough that will, again, like we said before, just look to the Georgia Guidestones. Just enough people to basically run things for the elite. And then when the big event comes and the pole shift comes, they're going to go down into their bunkers, or they're going to go up in their ships, just like what we see when we go into the Sumerian records and we look at how the Anunnaki left the earth and watched from above. while the pole shift came, and while the cataclysms came, and almost all life was wiped out. And some of them wept, and other ones were happy. And then they returned. And it's the same thing, the same cycle that we're going through right now. And so, be very aware, my friends. I want to thank you for your support on Patreon and Ko-Fi. Make sure you're subscribed and click the bell on both channels. As always, guys, God bless and namaste.
Namaste.